Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 26th May 2016. The first article is related to agriculture and its progress during 2 years of NDA rule. Let us see the economic growth. The economic growth is 7.2 and 7.6% in these 2 financial years. But agricultural growth, it has stagnated around 0.2% and 1.1% respectively. It means, though 50% of the population is dependent on the agriculture, there is no significant progress. If you consider the budget of this year, the finance minister and even the prime minister promised that their goal is to double the income of the farmers by 2022. So in this context, what are the efforts done in this direction? So the first thing is Prime Minister Krishi Sinchai Yojana. The objective is to provide water to every field. But however, the fund allocation to this are very minimal. It is to the tune of 5,000 crore rupees. And the next is Pradhana Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. It is to provide for all-weather agricultural insurance to the farmers. But if it has to be effectively implemented, real-time data is necessary, and updating of weather stations, everything is very critical. So, but there is no much progress is done in that direction. And after this, the Janadhan Yojana and the linkage of various subsidies can improve the delivery of services to the farmers, especially fertilizers, etc. And so what it says is, overall there is some effort is done towards improving the livelihood conditions of the farmers, but the situation do not appear much better. Now another thing is e-NAM. So it is National Agricultural Market which is created, but if it has to be successful, grading and standardization of various products is necessary, which is not yet undertaken. Added to that, various rates and taxes at agricultural markets also have to be reduced, which no proper steps are being taken up by the state governments in this direction. So in this context, the lofty promises and programs which are being made also have to be ensured with proper action. Now coming to the wrong metric. Now recently, the Chief Justice Thakur made a comment that India requires at least 50 judges for 1 million population. Now they are to the tune of 10 per million population. So he has taken the 1987 Law Commission report to substantiate his claim. But if carefully observed, the judges to population ratio or population to judges ratio is not a right metric to calculate the problem. So in this case, the caseload factor is another thing which has been tried for. So what is meant by caseload? So based on the socio-economic status, social differences among the people, social divisions, all these will determine the caseload factor. So as it is, so the caseload varies from one region to other region. Based on the caseload, we shall be able to allocate the judges to different regions. But however, to lead to the caseload factor, India do not have sufficient scientific data. If you go to the Western countries, they have much sophisticated calculation, especially so they used to calculate what is the speed at which a particular type of cases are disposed, and how much of the workload can be given to a particular judge. So there is a clear data on these parameters. So this is weighed case to judges ratio, which is very much helpful for people planning in judiciary. But however, lack of data is a major constraint for India. Next is keep inspectors away. Now, ease of doing business in India is very much weak due to the Inspector Raj. Though India has said it has moved away from the Inspector Raj, the recent conditionalities imposed by the government with regard to the royalties to be paid to different companies involved with the genetically engineered seeds shows that the license Raj is still active in India. Now, coming to the Chabahar port, why is it a history for India? Now, if you see, I'm making a rough diagram over here. There is Central Asia, South Asia, here there is Iran, here Persian Gulf is there. Now, in this case, the Chabahar port, from here we go to, or else we can access that is Central Asia, and also if INSTC, International North-South Transport Corridor, is developed, we can go all the way to the St. Petersburg. As of now, to go to St. Petersburg, we are taking a circular route through the Finland. So this distance is going to come down. Already India is in negotiation with the European Economic Union. So if this negotiations gets fruitful, the access through the Chabahar will reduce the distance and will increase the trade. Strategically also, so Chabahar port provides for access to Afghanistan. So it is from Chabahar to Jaranj to Delaram. So from there it will go to up to Mazar-e-Sharif and then Herat and all the prominent places in Afghanistan. So it means we are able to circumspect the Pakistan and gain access to the Afghanistan. That's why it is strategically also significant for India. Another thing is, here we have Southeast Asia. Now Southeast Asia, if it has to access the St. Petersburg, it has to cross all the way East Asia and has to go. Now, once this comes into existence, so the Southeast Asia can get easier access to St. Petersburg and then to Europe and also to the Central Asian economies. So you know that the Central Asia and the Persian Gulf, they are rich in oil resources. This provides for a gateway to the oil resources of West Asia and Central Asia. So that's why it is strategically important for India. Now coming to the Iran, the lost opportunities with regard to Iran. Now we all know that recently Prime Minister Modi has visited Iran, and at Chabahar port we got 10 years lease and permission to build at least 5 berths and also 2 stations. So in this case, 3,000 plus crores of rupees are being spent on this. So there are disputes, or else the finance ministry, it has its objections to this particular project because it is failing to see the strategic dimension and trying to see it only in the perspective of return on investment. So that's why the project is delayed for more than 13 years. And added to that, economic sanctions of United States on Iran is also another reason. So now, if we have to understand the strategic location of the Iran, we shall know the history of Iran a bit. Initially, after the Second World War, America's policy to the Middle East, what they call it as, is based on the twin pillars of Saudi Arabia and Iran. So Shah was very close to America. In 1979, when Islamic revolution has occurred in Iran, the Shah was overthrown and American diplomats in US embassy in Iran were taken as hostages. This has worsened the relations between United States and US started drifting more away from Saudi Arabia towards Saudi Arabia. Now, in this context, after the Iran nuclear deal, a kind of reapproachment is happening. So, in this context, the present scenario, after sanctions are lifted, there is a wide competition to access the natural resources of Iran, and there is a huge investments which are flowing into Iran. So here, Iran national interest with regard to Afghanistan may come in conflict with the stand India possesses. Because Afghanistan, Iran, it has a or else war front or the disturbed peace with regard to its southern and western boundary. But on the northern boundary, it wants to keep it peace. That's why it is an active supporter of peace talks with the Taliban. India has taken an ideological stand to oppose the peace talks with Taliban, and it don't want to differentiate between good Taliban and bad Taliban. Anyone who is a terrorist is a terrorist. So that way, there might be some conflict with regard to their own interests. And with regard to construction of the Chabahar port, India has no strong track record in performing these projects. If you take in Myanmar, under the Kaladan multimodal project, we are supposed to build the Sitwe port, but till now this Sitwe port is not been finished, and it has finally led to cost overruns. Now coming to the judicial activism. Now, In Delhi, judiciary has taken a overstep and it banned the diesel cars in the nation's capital. So in this context, judiciary crossing its limits of authority is very much questioning the legitimacy of the judiciary, and inability to implement the judicial orders is leading to loss of respect for the institution, and institutional capabilities of the judiciary are also weak with regard to these decisions. And for many of the decisions which the Supreme Court gave, the legal reasoning is not sound enough. So in this context, the judiciary shall confine to its own sphere and try to tackle the problems that exist in its sphere. If not, the judiciary may lose the legitimacy and respect it enjoys among the people. That is the essence of this article. Coming to the neat conundrum. So the judiciary, again, in terms of judicial overreach, it tried to recommend a common entrance examination for all medical and dental colleges in India. Now, but no permission or no consultation with the states was undertaken. So that's why states have expressed many apprehensions. And also there is no lead time for the students to shift from the state syllabus to the CBSE syllabus under which NEET is conducted. So in this context, an ordinance is passed by the center, which was finally signed by the President of India, which postponed the NEET for 1 year. And in the meanwhile, or else the states can conduct their own examination, which is a relief for many students. And coming to racism. Now, if you take in India, though outrightly or explicitly we prohibit racism of any its form, but color consciousness is ingrained into the minds of the people. So that's why when different color context appears, so that is leading to a racial slur. And it is also leading to attacks on the African students who are studying in India. So in resentment to this, African envoys, they are not willing to celebrate the Africa Day in India. Now coming to capital goods sector policy. We all know what are the capital goods are. Now in this context, the capital goods sector policy wants to triple the value of production of the capital goods to 7.5 lakh crore by 2025. And also, they aim to create 21 million jobs, raise the percentage of the exports in total production of the goods from existing 27 to 40%. Now coming to Prime Minister Modi is about to make a visit to United States. So especially, he is going to address the members of US Congress. Nowadays, India is getting a bipartisan support from both the parties from the Congress of United States of America. So recently, they banned the supply of F-16 jets to Pakistan, and also they did not allow for the release of 450 million aid to Pakistan. So, but however, the two irritants for them are trade liberalization and also growing intolerance. Now, when the Prime Minister Modi reaches to United States, what is expected to happen? Though when President came to India in January 2005, January 2014, I think. Now, many of the, or else India-US civil nuclear agreement, whatever the leftovers are sorted out. In spite of this, no US company has established a nuclear reactor in India. So this deal can see a progress once the Prime Minister Modi visits to United States of America. That is what is expected. Next, these are the articles for today. Thank you very much and all the best.